This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined in sunny. Are you in San Francisco at the moment, Tommy?
Los Angeles. Well, I'm just outside Los Angeles. I'm in Long Beach, Steve.
It's 8:30 in the morning there with you on a Sunday morning. This is going to go out tomorrow, which will be Monday. But like I was just saying to you there, it's freezing in Belfast, and obviously no wonder why you spend a lot of your time training in America when you can wake up with the sun shining first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely. The weather's lovely here the last couple of days. The start of the week it was lashing. It was like being at home. It was fairly it puts a bit of a damper on the mood. But yeah, the weather is good. But the training is why I'm here. The training's brilliant, and I'm I'm just 10 days. I'm here about 10 days, nearly 2 weeks now, and the training's been brilliant so far. I've been here. I've 3 or 4 spars done, and feeling nice and sharp already. And I'm still 5 weeks away from the fight.
I sort of want to just reflect back, obviously, on 2023. Obviously, you're pretty much just over a year now. What about 15 months since you made your debut. Obviously, a really, really busy year last year. Probably would have been busier, only for the tail end of the year and sort of fights falling through. But when you sort of look back, you've obviously put a lot of groundwork on last year, 6 fights in a year.
Yeah, 6 fights, as you said, and there was two cancelled, one in February and one in November, so that could have been 8. But it was a great year. A lot of learning done inside and outside the ring. I was going camp to camp and just training hard all the time and learning my craft. That's what it is. That's the important thing now for a young prospect like myself, is just stay in the gym, keep improving all the time, and keep getting valuable rounds inside the ring.
I guess, from obviously where you're initially supposed to make your debut coming up now and 2 years ago, are you sort of are you getting used to, obviously, now that fights falling through? Like, I remember your last fight, the opponent changed like 3 or 4 times sort of in the last couple of weeks. So are you getting used to that sort of now? I guess you can never really get used to it, but are you sort of, I guess, from the way you're supposed to initially start off as a pro, are you sort of used to the way things are now, that whenever a fight sort of planned, that it's not always going to happen?
Well, my pro debut, as it's been talked about enough, when it was supposed to happen, that was cancelled. So then I had another fight cancelled in Dubai. I've had about 4 or 5 cancellations now already in 7 fights. So I've been around boxing long enough. I've been around the pro game with my dad since I'm a child. So I know that these fights are never guaranteed until you're in the ring.
I guess it's keeping yourself humble sometimes and not getting too far ahead. Like, we know with boxing nowadays that if you're not fighting, you're not earning and things like that. But I guess you're taking the positives out of everything sort of with that and going, particularly with no fight since your last homecoming fight in October, you probably had a couple of months to recover, recharge, and I'm guessing obviously you're going to have a really big 2024 again.
Yeah, I enjoyed I came home in November back from San Francisco, so I enjoyed the Christmas at home with my family and friends. And I've been away for the best part of a year, really, over and back, and only been home for about a week or 2 weeks at a time. So it was great to see everyone and enjoy time at home and kind of relax a bit. I still kept training all through Christmas, and I was working in the bar as well and stuff like that. So just the simple things like that. I really love being at home in Cork, and yeah, it's time to get back to business now. I'm here since Tuesday last week, and I've been putting in some brilliant sessions, training very hard, and I feel nice and sharp.
You're sort of fighting. You sort of caught me by surprise. Sort of, I guess, I was sort of looking at it and I was sort of thinking the other week, I was going, why is Tommy Hyde not got fighting news yet? Like, you're normally on the ball, and your dad's really on the ball and the plan and everything else. And then obviously the rumblings came about that obviously you're fighting Craig McCarthy in a domestic in San Francisco. Talk to me about that. Was it something your dad sort of put together? I guess when you were planning the fight in San Francisco, where did the sort of idea come to have an Irish domestic fight with Craig?
Um, when the fight in San Francisco was cancelled in November, they were on about a date for Paddy's weekend, and asked would I would be interested in that, and I said, yeah, of course I would. I just want to be fighting. That's all, really. And we were training in January, and my dad says, "What about Craig McCarthy? He was looking for opponents over the last one falling through." My dad says, "I'll start the opponent for this one." So he was looking at opponents. He said, "What about Craig McCarthy? He had a nice record, 10-1, and he's the Celtic champion." and the fact that it's St. Patrick's weekend. So let's just say that was on a Monday. On the Tuesday, the Craig McCarthy fight was made and all. It was so easy to make. So it was brilliant to have that one out in San Francisco in front of a big Irish crowd for a Celtic title on St. Patrick's weekend. It's going to be a great weekend.
I initially, obviously, as you probably might have seen, I was initially aired my views sort of, in a domestic fight, sort of not being on domestic soil. But I guess when you know you've got a fellow Irish fighter in the ring with you, he's going to turn up and he's going to fight. It's not like some of these other opponents where they'll say yes, get a bit of clout from sort of having a fight date with Tommy Hyde, and then they'll pull out. So is that probably one of the reasons why you're happy having another Irishman in there? Because, granted, touch wood, I don't scud anything, but Craig McCarthy's going to show up and he's going to fight.
Yeah, and adds a great buzz that there's two Irish fellas fighting each other, that I'm fighting another Irishman. I can see that there's a buzz around it online. And listen, I'm going to be fighting in Cork again this year, so I'll fight any of the 168 pounders in Cork for an Irish title, for a Celtic title. I fight any of them, so there's no bother there. I'm not shying away from fighting an Irish man in Cork either. So I want to be given good domestic fights and then move on after that.
You've obviously seen, and I know you're very friendly with obviously Kevin Cronin. Obviously, him and Craig McCarthy were supposed to fight last year. They've had a lot of online sort of beef. I think they'd blocked each other on social media and everything else. Is it sort of in some ways, I guess probably you would have sided more with Kevin than Craig. So are you sort of hoping for, obviously in fight week there's going to be a good buzz, and obviously there's a bit of back and forth between you and Craig?
Listen, I don't know, to be honest. Like, anytime I met Craig, I got on well with him. Same with Kevin. Same with anyone in super middleweight division in Ireland. I get on well with. I'm a fairly friendly guy. So if he yeah, there's no beef between me and any of the fellas at super middleweight. So it is what it is. We just get in and fight. And just because I'm friendly with them doesn't mean I'm not going to be going in to take their heads off.
It's that friendly
With all
approach.
due respect.
You're a nice guy, obviously, outside of the ring, but obviously when it comes to business and everything else like that, like there's no point being fake and building beef, just for the sake of it to sell tickets and things like that. You'd rather be a gentleman, inside and outside the ring, but obviously you're there to take their head off at the same time.
Yeah, just be myself, and I don't need to fake anything. We'd no problems with Craig and Neil Power making this fight. My dad my dad was dealing with Neil Power to get me on the Waterford show last year, and there was no problems there. He was a pleasure to deal with, and the same again for this one. As I said, it probably took about 24, 36 hours to make the fight, so they were very easy to deal with from what I heard from my dad.
And obviously your dad let me know the other night, and it's obviously has now been published online, but it's going to be for Craig's Celtic super middleweight title. I think initially, obviously, it wasn't looking like that, but the BUA ratings committee have obviously said yes, they're happy for it to be. So I guess obviously the first professional title, obviously around the waist as well. It's a great start to 2024 to be for you.
Yeah, definitely, and the first of many titles, please God. I'm hoping to get another couple of title fights this year. As I said, I'll be fighting in Cork, and I'll be fighting in Boston, San Francisco. I'll be fighting everywhere again this year. So hopefully another couple of title fights too.
And like the 168 division is obviously very, very tasty. We've obviously seen last year, but I think we had three or four, I think, domestic fights. Obviously, you Craig and Graham McCormick, obviously, started it off on the card you were on in Waterford. You had obviously Kevin Cronin and Jamie Morrissey fighting twice, and you had Emmett Brennan and Jamie Morrissey finishing the year. So, like, you're probably in one of the hottest divisions in Ireland. And I guess, you win this Celtic title, it puts you mandatory for the Irish title as well. And, just throwing it out there, but obviously Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron card looks like done for May. There's a potential, obviously, of an Irish title fight on that.
Yeah, that's everyone's goal, is to get on the Katie show, isn't it? It has been for the last two shows that Katie brought to Ireland, and I was at the last one. It was unbelievable buzz, and you just leave it. You leave the place shadowboxing, wanting to be part of these big nights, and this is no different. I'd love to be on that show in May and fighting for whatever title there is against whoever, just once I was on the show. Do you know what I mean? But if not, we've other plans. We've there's plenty of opportunities to fight in America this year and fight back home as well.
And I guess, Callum Walsh obviously is fighting the same weekend as you as well. Obviously, it's a real big Cork sort of thing in America that weekend. I think he's on the Friday night, and I think you're the Saturday night, or is it both the same night?
I think Callum's on the Thursday or Friday night. I'm on the Saturday night. Yeah.
So it's a sort of Cork double weekend sort of thing. And there's talk of obviously him having a homecoming, obviously with the UFC sort of involved there as well. I guess there's going to be plenty of options. Obviously, it wouldn't matter on either card. What sort of venue do you think they would maybe look at in Cork? You know, I'm not from the area, and obviously I'm not sure what sort of venues they would have. But is there an idea what you would know as to what sort of venue they would look at?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. Obviously there's going to be a big buzz when the UFC comes to Cork, and Callum's making a huge name for himself in the States and back home. So I'm not sure what kind of venue will suit that, but it's great that he's going to get his home coming after being fighting in the US for so long and doing great things over here, some great performances, and as I said, he's making a huge name for himself.
It wouldn't be a Cork show without the governor being involved with it.
There's there's so much talent in Cork now. There's Stephen Cairns, Carl Crowley, Danny Keaton, Spike. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think we'll all get on the show, but on these shows. But I'll be fighting there as well myself this year. So hopefully there's plenty of action for all the Irish boxers, or for all the Cork boxers in Cork this year.
You seen obviously something to put out. Obviously last night it'll be Saturday night, sort of. I guess when obviously this gets put out, but obviously was it 13 years ago? Obviously Spike Sullivan, obviously with Callum Walsh and Stephen Kearns, and they think of the role model he's sort of been sort of from then. Did it? Whenever you see things like that, and obviously you're around young kids and things like that coming through in the sport, but it had home to you very quickly. You could be a role model for the next generation coming through.
Yeah, it's I see there's a lot of young kids in Cork looking up to me and other Cork boxers from the TikToks and the Instagrams and stuff like that. You wouldn't realize how much people are looking up to you and sending me nice messages and stuff like that. So it's great. It's great that I'm setting an advantage for them, and I hope I'm setting a positive example. Sorry, I hope I'm setting a positive example of working hard and just being a good person to people. Um, yeah, I seen that picture that you'd up with Stephen Cairns and Callum with Spike. It was brilliant. And I was talking to Callum's dad last night, and he was saying they went into the raffle for a pair of boxing gloves because they couldn't afford them at the time, and they actually won the pair of gloves. And that's what Callum was being presented with, was the gloves there. That was, I think, 2013, and a great story as well. Like, and what Spike's doing for Cork boxing, he was flying the flag for us on his own for years and years and years. I know there's so much talent coming up behind him, and it's great to see that he's still going, he's still at it, and hopefully he can get some big fights as well in the next year or two.
It's it's remarkable. It's say when you see that sometimes, and it obviously I guess it keeps the memories obviously going. Where you think if you can inspire someone else to take up the sport and keep chasing their dreams, no matter whether it's football, whether it's boxing, whether it's golf, whether it's anything, if you can inspire someone in some way, that's your life sort of conquered sort of for you. If you can transfer your skills onto somebody else, it's perfect.
Yeah, 100%. And there's so much talent in Cork, 11, 12, 13 year olds. And when they get to 16, 17, they start having a few points. 18, sorry. 18 is the right age for a few points, but they start having a few points. They start having girlfriends and whatever else there is, the other distractions there. And there's so much talent that's wasted there. And that there could be some huge stars that just stop boxing at the age of 17, 18. And hopefully they see the likes of me, Stephen, Cahill. I don't want to name them all out again, but I don't want to be leaving people out. Callum, Spike, all that. When we're getting past that 17, 18, 19-year-old age, and we're still fighting. So hopefully they can do that as well and go on to even bigger and better things than us.
Definitely doesn't echo that, and obviously in every area, sort of in Ireland, obviously if people can obviously find a purpose to keep involved with the sport, I guess they have to be good enough probably sometimes to keep it going. But obviously, age is no defining factor, and we've seen people playing in the Premier League where they started off in the lower leagues and just worked hard and finally got there, with perseverance. What have you sort of made of the start the Irish boxing obviously circle? We're about to announce about the seventh card of the year announced all before the end of the first quarter of the year. It just seems like it just there's a lot more talent coming through. We're going to probably hopefully have more champions probably this year than ever before. Are you really buzzing about how big Irish boxing is going to be on the map at the end of this year?
It's booming, and it has been for the last year or two. Jay Byrne is putting on a savage amount of shows this year, which is great, and it looks like it's a great atmosphere up in the warehouse. I'm hoping that I'm home for one of them shows, and I want to go up there because it looks like it's a great night of boxing. I'm a big boxing fan, so anytime I'm at home, I try to get to any of the fights. We were just at the fights in Long Beach last night. It was a kind of a smaller show, but great fights again. So I'm just a boxing fan, so it's great to see the Irish boxing is booming.
It definitely is. And obviously, I'll finally leave you then, obviously, on obviously your fight with Craig McCarthy. How do you sort of see the fight? I guess you've seen him obviously in person against Graham McCormick in Waterford. So how do you sort of see the fight? Do you sort of go in with that intention? I know every fight you go with that intention of looking for a knockout and delighting the fans. How do you see the fight going? Do you see it being cagey for a bit, or a case of obviously you're just going to try and take his head off as quickly as you can?
I think we're both going in there to take each other's heads off. So that's the nature of the sport. I actually didn't see Craig's fight with Graham because I think it was Paul Ryan was on after me, and then Graham and Craig were on after that. So I didn't even get a chance to watch the fight, but I will watch it over the next couple of weeks, I suppose. I'm going in there to put on a great performance and get the Irish fans in San Francisco excited because I'll be back there again this year with another 2 or 3 fights, hopefully, and get them behind me. And just excited, make an exciting fight. I know Craig is going to come to fight. He comes in shape all the time, and he's coming to put on a good performance himself. So I'll be there, and I'll be meeting him in the center of the ring, and may the best man win.
And I guess and finally, obviously, it's putting sort of like a good advert for obviously Irish boxing. Obviously, the two of you go and fight there and give obviously American fight fans a taste of what we see probably every month at least here. Obviously, really good, honest fights. Guys that want to give it all in the ring. So he's going to be a good advertisement, obviously, in St. Patrick's weekend in San Francisco.
Yeah, and there's so much Irish that people don't realize are in San Francisco. It's going to be a great night for the Irish in San Francisco the day before Paddy's Day, and hopefully I can get into the parade with the belt then the next day.
Knowing you, Tommy, you'll get anywhere.
Yeah, I'll do my best anyway.
But look, obviously, all the very best of luck. Obviously, the camp over the next 4 or so weeks. And obviously, we can't wait to fight night, 16th of March in San Francisco.
Cheers, Steve. And there's a lot of the people asking me about where can they watch the fight and stuff like that. The last show that I was supposed to be on here in November was on DAZN, so hopefully this one is too. But if not, I'll have someone going live stream on YouTube or Facebook, but I'll keep people updated with that anyway.
Definitely. Well, listen, thanks very much for your time. Obviously, enjoy the rest of that lovely weather, and we'll catch up with you soon, Tommy.
I will indeed. Cheers, Stephen. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.